Shadows move when they hear my name. Rich in blood, I control the game. Eyes above, watching where I go. Crown of silence, the world will know. Bloody rich, I break the law.
In the world of business, power is everything. Fortunes are built and destroyed in a single moment. Men fight not with swords, but with contracts, alliances, and empires. And among them all, one man stands above the rest. His name echoes in every boardroom, every stock market, every government hall. They call him Takara, the treasure of the world. From the outside, he is untouchable. His face appears on magazine covers. His speech is broadcast across nations. Private jets, sprawling estates, entire cities whisper his name. But this man was not born into privilege. Once, he was only a boy from a forgotten village, and now he sits on the throne of global wealth. His empire stretches across nations. Technology, finance, real estate, fashion, industries bend beneath his will. When Takara speaks, markets rise. When he moves, competitors collapse. In a towering skyscraper above the city, the most powerful men on earth gather. They wait in silence, their voices hushed. And then, the doors open. Takara enters. His presence alone silences the room. Every eye fixes on him. He walks with calm steps, confidence radiating from his every move. At the head of the table, his seat awaits. He sits, resting his hand lightly on the table. Dozens of men and women, each powerful in their own right, lean forward to hear his words. Takara. Gentlemen, let's begin. The future is mine to write. The meeting begins. His words decide the fate of companies, of nations, of lives. With every sentence, his influence spreads further. From the shadows of his past, he has built an empire of gold. From nothing, he carved a legacy that the world cannot ignore. Takara, the man who turned himself into the greatest treasure of this age. But among them all, Takara isn't free. For the world, he is a legend, untouchable, admired, feared. Yet behind the glass walls of his empire, his nights are all the same. One night, as usual, Takara goes to bed with a new girl, a stranger he had met only an hour ago. And already she looked at him with eyes full of love. To her, he was irresistible, a dream made real. To him, she was just another fleeting shadow in a long line of faces. The city outside never sleeps, and neither does the man who owns it. Yet in the silence of his room, even surrounded by luxury, Takara feels the weight of something no wealth can buy. But Takara knows the truth. He can have anything in this world. Money, power, women, even entire nations bow to him. But he does not love. To him, these nights are nothing more than routine. Bodies without meaning, faces without names. He never allows his heart to be touched, because love is weakness, and weakness has no place in his empire. Takara does not fall in love. He only takes what he wants. And when the morning comes, the girl by his side is just another memory erased from his mind. The next morning, Takara entered his headquarters. His assistant hurried beside him, holding a tablet, speaking quickly but carefully. "Sir, you have a meeting at 11 this morning with the new company. I've arranged everything. And at 4, you have lunch with the Prime Minister." Takara walked without slowing, his expression unreadable. The weight of his schedule could break ordinary men, but to him, it was nothing more than routine. "Takara, keep the meeting sharp. I don't waste time, and make sure the Prime Minister doesn't waste mine either." As soon as the clock struck 11, Takara's convoy of black cars pulled up to the gates of the new company. Stepping out, he looked up at the towering glass building, the sharp lines of its architecture shining under the morning sun. For a moment, his eyes narrowed. The design, the vision, the ambition carved into the steel and glass. It spoke to him, and in that instant, Takara made his decision. "Takara, I don't need to meet their directors. This company is mine from today." His assistant froze, almost stumbling over his own steps. Assistant, "Successor, sir? You mean a full acquisition? Without negotiation?" Takara, smirking slightly. When I see something worth owning, I don't wait. Prepare the papers. By tonight, I want every share under my name. The assistant nodded nervously, already dialing numbers. With one glance, Takara had just shifted the fate of hundreds of employees, and the owners didn't even know yet. By 4 p.m., Takara arrived at the Prime Minister's residence. The convoy of cars was escorted through heavy security, but everyone there knew Takara was no ordinary guest. He wasn't just a businessman. He was a force that could move the nation's future. That evening, he sat across from the Prime Minister at a long dinner table. Crystal glasses reflected the golden light, and servants moved quietly in the background. The two men spoke not as host and guest, but as equals. The Prime Minister leaned forward, lowering his voice. Takara, the economy is shifting. Other nations are trying to weaken us. I need your support to keep our industry strong. Takara picked up his glass, swirling it slowly before replying. Takara, politics changes every year. Leaders rise and fall. But money never loses power. If I decide to back you, this country will stand. If I don't, it will crumble. The Prime Minister's eyes tightened, but he forced a smile. Then I trust you'll make the right decision for the nation. Takara set his glass down and leaned forward, his voice sharp but calm. Takara, I don't make decisions for nations. I make them for myself. If our interests align, then consider it done. The table went silent for a moment. Even the Prime Minister knew this man across from him was more powerful than any government. As the dinner continued, the doors opened and a young waitress stepped in, carrying a silver tray. She moved gracefully, her eyes lowered, as she placed the steak before Takara. For a man who had faced kings and billionaires without flinching, it should have been nothing. But in that moment, Takara froze. His mind blanked. His heartbeat skipped. For the first time in years, the man who controlled empires felt powerless. The Prime Minister kept talking, his words about politics and nations fading into background noise. Takara's eyes stayed locked on the waitress. Her beauty wasn't loud or artificial. It was natural, effortless, something real in a world that Takara had long since found fake. For a second, the entire dinner table felt like it had vanished. There was only her and him. Takara thinking, what is this? Why am I? He clenched his fist under the table, frustrated at himself. The waitress bowed politely and turned away, unaware of the storm she had just created inside the world's most powerful man. The Prime Minister noticed the pause in Takara's eyes and leaned forward slightly. What happened, Takara? Are you okay? Takara blinked once, regaining his composure, his voice steady. Takara, I'm fine. Just a thought. The Prime Minister gave a small nod, then pressed on. So, what do you think about our proposal? Will you support us in strengthening the nation? Takara set down his knife and fork, folding his hands on the table. His gaze was sharp again, the hesitation gone. Takara, I agree. Whatever the nation requires, I'll make it happen. Your industries, your economy, I'll back it all. The Prime Minister's face lit up with relief. Then together, we will secure the future of this country. Takara leaned back in his chair, expression calm. Only he knew that a few minutes ago, he had slipped. No one else saw it. No one but himself. And he hated that weakness. After dinner with the Prime Minister, Takara left the residence. His convoy cut through the night streets, returning toward his palace-like estate. Inside the car, silence filled the space until his assistant finally spoke, his voice careful. Sir, do you really agree to the Prime Minister's requirements? To help the nation the way he asked? Takara didn't respond. His eyes were fixed on the window, watching the city lights blur past. His reflection in the glass looked colder than ever. The assistant waited a moment, but no answer came. He lowered his head and said nothing further. He knew his limits. With Takara, a question left unanswered was an answer in itself. Days passed, but Takara couldn't erase that moment from his mind. That one eye contact across the dinner table. It lingered like a scar he couldn't control. Late one evening, in his towering office, he finally gave in. Takara, find her. I don't care how. Just bring me every detail about her. The assistant bowed and rushed out, already knowing this was no ordinary order. 2 hours later, the assistant returned, holding a thin file. His voice was careful, respectful. Sir, her name is Rawa. She belongs to a middle-class family. She works as a waitress to support them. Her mother is sick, and she takes care of her younger brother, 15 years old. Takara leaned back in his chair, silent. His eyes scanned the report, but he already knew. This was different. For the first time in years, the richest man in the world was thinking about someone who had nothing to offer him. And the more he thought of her, the more restless he became. Takara slammed the file shut, his eyes colder than ice. Takara, I want to meet her. The assistant froze for a moment, his face pale. Assistant, sir, that's not possible. What about your reputation? The media, your rivals? If they find out the world's greatest businessman is chasing after a waitress? Takara turned his gaze to the window, the city lights reflecting in his eyes. A faint smirk curved on his lips. Takara, reputation? I built it, and I can burn it down if I want. The assistant lowered his head. He knew when Takara said something, no one could stop him. But deep down, he also knew. This time, Takara wasn't chasing a deal or an empire. He was chasing something far more dangerous. Takara moved through his day as always. Meetings, signatures, deals worth empires. But when the world grew quiet, he sought the only place that gave him peace, the seaside. A convoy of cars followed him, headlights slicing the night. His assistant stepped out first, scanning the horizon, nervous. Assistant, sir, please. You shouldn't be here alone. Your enemies are watching. They'll strike any chance they get. Takara's gaze never left the waves. His voice was calm, but sharp. Takara, danger does not frighten me. The only thing I fear is love. The assistant swallowed his protest, bowed slightly and motioned the security team back. Engines roared, and the convoy melted into the city, leaving Takara alone beneath the moon. Now it was just him. The ocean breathing against the shore, the night breeze tugging at his coat, the city glittering like a memory behind him. For a while he simply stood, listening to the endless tide. But then, something caught his eye. At a distance, another figure stood by the shore, still, silent, watching the sea as he did. Takara's heartbeat slowed. His instincts screamed. Takara thought, an enemy? Or a ghost my mind has conjured? He stepped forward, boots crunching against the gravel, every sound amplified in the vast silence. The figure didn't move. The moon carved their outline in silver, slender and unfamiliar, yet strangely familiar. Takara's eyes narrowed. Takara thought, if this is imagination, let it end now. If it's real, then I must see. The waves crashed harder, the distance shrank, and the night, which had seemed so calm, suddenly felt like the edge of something dangerous. Takara's steps echoed against the gravel, steady, unshaken. The figure moved too, walking toward him with equal resolve. Finally, under the pale moonlight, their paths met. The man wore a dark hood, shadows concealing his face. He raised his left hand slightly as he spoke. And for a moment, under the moonlight, the camera lingers. A faint circle mark is visible on the back of his hand. The hooded man's voice was low, urgent, almost prophetic. Hooded man, Takara, you don't have much time. Takara's eyes narrowed, his composure slipping for the first time. Takara, what? That's too early. The hooded man leaned in, his words sharper, heavier. Hooded man, then make it faster. Do your remaining work, before it's too late. Silence. The waves crashed, but Takara heard only the pounding of his own heart. He searched the hooded man's face for answers, but shadows kept the truth locked away. Speechless, Takara finally turned and walked back toward the city lights. The hooded figure stayed at the shore, unmoving.